Have you ever wanted to visit a place where everything feels magical, and every spot tells a tale of love and fancy living? Let me take you on a trip to Lake Como in northern Italy, a spot so pretty it feels like a dream. Clear blue waters that mirror the mountains, cute towns by the lake, and oh, look over there. Do you see those big fancy mansions hiding behind the trees? Lake Como isn't just a pretty face. It's filled with some seriously cool architectural gems. We're talking about everything from romantic hideaways to neoclassical masterpieces. So grab your adventure hats because we're going to give you the real scoop on Lake Como's 5 most beautiful mansions. Ready to see gardens full of rare flowers, big party rooms from the old days, and views of the lake that'll make you go, wow? Let's go. P.S. Keep an eye out, because one of these houses might just be the perfect spot for your next vacation. Can't wait to show you which one. Welcome to Old Money Lives, where we explore the lives and homes of those beyond our normal reach. Number 1. Villa del Balbianello. You're speeding down the lake, the breeze playing with your hair, when out of nowhere you see the stunning mansion on a green piece of land. This place is called Villa del Balbianello, but if you're a movie buff, you might recognize it also from the silver screen. It played a starring role in James Bond's Casino Royale, and even made an appearance in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Built in the 1700s by Cardinal Durini, talk about a fancy title, the villa wasn't always the stunner that it is today. Back then, it was more like a summer house, a place to escape the city's hustle and bustle. But Cardinal Durini had an eye for potential, and over time, he transformed it into a luxurious haven. When you walk in, the first thing you notice is the amazing artwork on the ceilings, showing tales of ancient gods and heroes. There's old-style furniture that makes you feel like you've stepped back in time, and a library packed with enough books to keep you hooked for days. But the real showstopper is the Loggia delle Statue, an open-air terrace adorned with mythological sculptures. Now, let's talk about the real star of the show, the location. The peninsula juts out into the water, creating a dramatic setting that feels like you're on your own private island. And the views? Forget about filtered Instagram perfection. This is the real deal. Snow-capped mountains mirrored in crystal clear water, charming villages dotting the shoreline, and the endless expanse of the lake stretching out before you. So if you've ever dreamed of living like a secret agent or a Jedi Knight, this is your chance. Minus the gadgets and lightsabers, of course. Number 2. Villa Carlotta. Right by the same beautiful lake, there's also Villa Carlotta, which has been around since the 1600s, and has turned into a huge garden and a spot where you can see some cool old art. It was first built for rich folks to live in, but Princess Charlotte of Prussia, who was super into gardening, took over and made it the flower heaven it is today. Villa Carlotta can offer you around 17 acres to walk around, packed with more than 1,000 types of plants. It's like walking through a live rainbow. Look at all these roses, rhododendrons, camellias, and azaleas everywhere. Oh, perfect. In spring, the place explodes with color, and in summer it's all lush and smells amazing. Inside, the villa is filled with old-school art that shows what life was like back then. There's this special part of the villa dedicated to Antonio Canova, who was famous for making beautiful sculptures out of marble. You'll also find paintings, fancy old wall hangings, and furniture that give you a peek into the past. And if you're in the mood, you can learn all about how Villa Carlotta changed from being a fancy house to this awesome garden and art spot. There are tours that tell you about Princess Charlotte and all the cool things about the villa's design, gardens, and the art inside. Next up, though, is a building which, despite being older than Carlota, and for that fact even most countries, chills on the shores of this dazzling Italian lake even to this day. Number 3. Villa Monastero. Over 60 Nobel Prize winners have visited Villa Monastero, making it a significant place in Lake Como for people looking to be inspired. But what is the story behind its rise to prominence? You see, Villa Monastero was originally founded as a tranquil monastery in the 12th century. However, fast forward a few hundred years and the villa gets a makeover. A family moves in, makes it more beautiful, adding arcades to the front and turning an old farmhouse into a guest house. Later, Pietro Ganazzi took over in 1862, and he made even more changes. After him, a German businessman, Walter Erich Jakob Kies, owned the villa. He not only improved the villa, but also worked on the gardens and added some buildings to the property. World War I brought tough times for Villa Monastero, like it did for other properties owned by Germans. It was later taken away and ended up with Marco de Marchi, a scientist from Milan. He gave it to the Italian government in 1936. The villa then turned into a museum and a place for scientific studies. By 1953, it also became a conference center, attracting famous guests like Nobel Prize winner Enrico Fermi. Time keeps ticking though, and Villa Monastero changes again. This time it becomes a museum, renowned for its art and beautiful gardens, while also hosting international conferences. Loved the beauty and stories of Villa Monastero? Join us for more. Hit subscribe and share to help us discover and share even cooler places and stories. Anyway, how about we swap history lessons for lakeside strolls in a neoclassical jam? Number 4. Villa Meldri d'Eril. Also named the Pearl of the Lake, Villa Meldri d'Eril is most famous for its stunning gardens, a key attraction for visitors in Bellagio, Italy. Designed in the English landscape style by Luigi Canonica and Luigi Villoresi, these gardens blend beautifully with the natural landscape of Lake Como. They feature winding paths that lead to breathtaking views and quiet corners, with a diverse collection of plants from around the world that ensure vibrant colors and fragrances throughout the year. Noteworthy are the Japanese pond, which adds a serene touch, and the colorful azaleas and rhododendrons that bloom in spring. After exploring the gardens, the villa itself offers a wealth of art and architectural beauty. Built in the early 1800s for Francesco Meldri d'Eril, an important figure in Napoleon's era, the villa showcases neoclassical design at its best. It houses the Moorish pavilion, with stunning lake views, an Egyptian obelisk, and various statues that add historical depth to your visit. The Orangery, now a museum, holds artifacts and memorabilia related to the villa's history, and, of course, Napoleon Bonaparte, offering insight into the villa's past occupants. Additionally, the neoclassical chapel provides a quiet space for reflection, adding a spiritual dimension to the estate. Visiting Villa Meldri thus gives you a chance to immerse in Italian art, history, and horticulture, all set against one of Lake Como's most picturesque backdrops. Now, where Villa Meldri d'Eril embraced serenity in its design, Villa Olmo, a mere stone's throw away in Como town, proudly wears its grandeur on its sleeve. Number 5. Villa Olmo. Forget serene gardens and Egyptian boat landings for a moment, because Villa Olmo demands attention with its sheer monumental presence. This 19th century mansion sits proudly by the shore in the town of Como, catching everyone's eye with its big columns and statues all over the front. It was built by a marquis who clearly wanted to show off his wealth. You can almost see the fancy carriages arriving, with guests looking around in awe at the huge columns and sculptures. The mansion features a series of rooms, each with its own character, adorned with period furniture that tells stories of luxury and elegance from the past. The ceilings in many rooms are high and ornate, often featuring beautiful frescoes that add to the mansion's artistic value. Villa Olmo is also known for its library, which houses a collection of valuable books and manuscripts. reflecting the Marquis's interest in culture and learning. Another highlight is its ballroom, a vast space with sparkling chandeliers and elegant flooring, where guests would dance the night away under the watchful eyes of portraits hanging on the walls. The front of Villa Olmo is also decorated with numerous statues. The mansion's location is another key feature of its exterior appeal. It's surrounded by a vast and historically rich park that specifically enhances its appeal. This park, known as the main public park in Como, spans approximately 5 hectares, excluding the areas occupied by various buildings. Interestingly though, Villa Olmo was named after an elm tree, no longer alive, that was planted in the midst of these ornate gardens. As this video comes to an end, remember the playful hint about one of those magnificent houses being the perfect spot for your next vacation? Let's unveil it now. Given the grandeur, the historical richness, and the sheer beauty of the locations we've explored, it's a tough call. However, if we were to choose only one place, Villa del Balbianello would be it. And the reason? Simply because whether you're a history enthusiast or a film aficionado or someone who appreciates the finer things in life, Villa del Balbianello offers a unique blend of these elements. The villa has transformed into a premier location for private events, including weddings, ceremonies, and film or photo shoots. Consequently, overnight stays within the villa itself are not available. However, for those seeking accommodations in the vicinity, there's a plethora of options. E finalmente, vorremmo dire grazie mille per aver guardato fino alla fine. See you next time.